Be me, married to Grace for 3 years. Thought I married someone who believed in equality. Turns out I married someone who believes in equality only when it benefits her. Let me tell you about the spreadsheet. Grace works as a marketing coordinator at some mid-sized firm, makes decent money, comes home around 5:30 most days. I work in IT consulting, often pulling 10 to 12-hour days. Doesn't matter to Grace, though. Equality means exactly 50-50 household duties, tracked on her precious Excel spreadsheet. First red flag should have been when she presented me with the household labor distribution chart, 6 months into marriage. Color-coded categories for cleaning, cooking, shopping, maintenance, administrative tasks. She updates it weekly, sends me passive-aggressive emails when I'm behind quota. Hey babe, just noticed you're at 42% this week. We discussed this. Try to explain that I worked 65 hours this week while she worked 40. Grace launches into lecture about how my job being more demanding doesn't excuse perpetuating patriarchal power structures. The idea that your work is more important is exactly the kind of thinking that oppresses women. Arthur. Apparently suggesting that someone who works more hours might do fewer chores is literally violence. Cooking becomes the first battleground. Grace refuses to cook anything ever. Cooking is a patriarchal expectation forced on women for centuries. Fine. I'll cook. Work 12 hours, come home, cook dinner. Grace critiques my meals while eating them. This pasta is overcooked. Also, you didn't use organic vegetables. That's really disappointing. Never offers to help, never says thank you. Just sits there scrolling through her phone while I clean up. But wait, it gets worse. Grace tracks my emotional labor contributions too. Apparently listening to her complain about her coworkers counts as me exploiting her. I need you to process your own emotions, Arthur. It's not my job to be your emotional dumping ground. Meanwhile, she expects me to listen to every detail about her drama with Jennifer from accounting. When I try to share something difficult from my day, she sighs dramatically. Real men learn to handle their feelings internally. Emotional dependency is toxic. Birthday situation was the breaking point. My birthday approaches, Grace does absolutely nothing. No card, no dinner, no acknowledgement. When I ask about it, she gets annoyed. Celebrating men's achievements just reinforces male privilege in society. Your birthday is just another day, Arthur. I'm not participating in patriarchal gift-giving traditions. Meanwhile, posts 47 Instagram stories for her own birthday, expects elaborate celebration, gets mad when I don't plan enough activities. You clearly don't value me as a partner if you can't put effort into my special day. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. Try to have conversation about double standards. Grace immediately launches into lecture about how I'm tone policing her. You're using classic manipulation tactics to silence my voice. Apparently, pointing out hypocrisy is abuse now. Social media becomes another nightmare. Grace posts constantly about toxic masculinity, describes scenarios that are obviously about me without naming me. When your partner expects dinner ready when he gets home, with crying, laughing emoji. Except I never expected that. I cook my own dinner every night. Men who think their job stress matters more than equality. Her friends comment with fire emojis and preach queen. Try to explain this hurts my feelings. Your feelings aren't my responsibility to manage, Arthur. You need to examine why you feel attacked when women discuss their experiences. But somehow, when I don't validate her feelings about her bad day, I'm being emotionally abusive. The spreadsheet expands. Now tracks who takes out trash, weighted by frequency and bag fullness. Who does dishes, weighted by number of dishes and difficulty level. Who schedules appointments, because apparently calling the dentist is oppressive labor. Who handles mental load tasks, like remembering birthdays for my own family. Grace decides she shouldn't have to remember my mom's birthday. Kinship labor traditionally falls on women. I refuse to perpetuate that. But gets furious when I don't remember her sister's boyfriend's cat's birthday or whatever. Start working from home more to help with household tasks. Big mistake. Now Grace monitors my productivity. You seem to be on a personal call for 12 minutes. That's not fair to me since I'm working full-time too. She's timing my lunch breaks. I'm getting passive-aggressive texts about how long I spent in the bathroom. Fixed the garbage disposal one evening after a 13-hour workday. Grace finds out I fixed it. I didn't consent to you taking on that traditionally masculine role. It makes me feel infantilized. Apparently, I was supposed to ask her permission first. Also, apparently we should have called a repair person for equality. Also, apparently me knowing how to fix things is somehow oppressive to her. Refused to open doors for her anymore because she said it was patronizing. She gets mad about that too. You're being deliberately obtuse about the difference between respectful gestures and systemic oppression. Can't win. Finances become another battleground. I make about 40% more than Grace due to working significantly more hours and having specialized skills. Grace decides this is problematic, wants to split all expenses exactly 50-50 regardless of income difference. Also wants me to give her money to offset the wage gap. Also doesn't want me handling investments because financial control is abuse, but also doesn't want to research investments herself because that's boring. Emotional labor spreadsheet reaches new levels of insanity. Grace starts tracking invisible labor, like noticing when we're low on toilet paper. Assigns point values to different types of emotional support. Active listening, 3 points. Validating feelings, 5 points. Problem solving, 1 point, because that's actually dismissive. Come home exhausted after a particularly brutal week. Client crisis had me working until 2 a.m., 3 days straight. Just want to collapse on couch. Grace immediately launches into 45-minute monologue about how her coworker Jessica totally copied her presentation style. Try to listen, but I'm literally falling asleep. You're not being emotionally present, Arthur. This is exactly the kind of dismissive behavior that drives women away. Explain that I'm exhausted and need a few minutes to decompress. Grace gets furious. Your work stress doesn't give you permission to ignore my needs. I work just as hard as you do. She worked 37 hours this week. I worked 71. Apparently, pointing this out makes me a misogynist. Breaking. Point comes during argument about vacation planning. Grace refuses to plan anything because women are expected to handle social coordination, but also criticizes every suggestion I make. That hotel looks too expensive. This restaurant is too casual. Why didn't you research activities? Spend hours planning perfect weekend getaway. Grace nitpicks every detail. You booked the massage for me without asking what type I wanted. That's controlling. Finally snap during dinner on random Tuesday. Grace starts lecturing me about how I loaded the dishwasher wrong. The patriarchal assumption that any effort is good enough is exactly why women end up redoing men's work. Something inside me breaks. You know what, Grace? You're absolutely right about gender roles being oppressive. She looks pleased, thinking she's won. So I'm not going to perpetuate them anymore. Explain calmly that I will no longer be doing any traditionally masculine tasks. No more fixing things, no more handling finances. No more lifting heavy objects. No more dealing with car maintenance. You're a strong, independent woman. You can handle these things yourself. Grace's expression changes. That's not what I meant, Arthur. Why not? Gender roles are oppressive, remember? Tell her I also won't be providing emotional labor anymore. Won't be listening to her problems because that would make me her emotional dumping ground. Need to process my own feelings first before I can support others. Just repeating her own words back to her. Grace starts getting upset. You're being ridiculous. That's not the same thing. How is it different? You told me emotional dependency is toxic. Tears start forming in her eyes. I need you to listen to me about my day. Sorry, I need to examine my own emotional needs first. Your feelings aren't my responsibility to manage. Grace completely breaks down crying, sobbing uncontrollably about how I'm being cruel and unsupportive, begging me to comfort her. Please, Arthur, I had a really hard day. Stay sitting on couch. Don't move to console her. I thought real people learn to handle their feelings internally. You said emotional support is exploitative labor. I'm just applying your own standards consistently. Grace becomes absolutely hysterical. This isn't fair. You know I didn't mean it like this. How did you mean it then? She can't answer because we both know she meant it exactly like this when it benefited her. Next morning, Grace is still upset. Starts making breakfast for both of us. I stop her. I can't let you cook for me. That would perpetuate oppressive gender roles. Make my own breakfast while she stands there confused. Grace tries to discuss her feelings about our fight. I really need to process what happened yesterday with you. Sorry, I don't have the emotional bandwidth for that right now. But Arthur, you taught me that my emotional needs come first. She starts crying again. You're being deliberately cruel. I'm being deliberately consistent. Over next few weeks, Grace discovers what it's like when her own logic is applied to her. Garbage disposal breaks. I refuse to fix it. You're perfectly capable of watching YouTube tutorials like anyone else. She spends 3 hours and floods the kitchen, calls repair service, costs $200. Why didn't you just fix it? Because that would be patronizing toward your abilities. Grace tries to discuss splitting the repair bill. I think since you could have prevented this cost, you should pay more. That sounds like you want me to take financial responsibility for household maintenance. Well, yes, but that's a traditionally masculine role. I thought we were against those. Her birthday approaches. Do absolutely nothing. Grace asks what I planned. I'm not planning anything. Celebrating women's achievements just reinforces gender-based expectations. That's not the same thing. You literally said, celebrating men reinforces male privilege. But it's different for women. How? Grace has complete meltdown. You know women face discrimination. So you want special treatment based on your gender. Watch her try to explain why gender-based considerations are bad when they benefit me, but necessary when they benefit her. It's painful to watch. She starts making dinner one evening. I stop her again. I can't participate in this oppressive dynamic where one person cooks for another. Arthur, I'm trying to do something nice. The road to oppression is paved with nice gestures that reinforce harmful patterns. Grace throws the wooden spoon across the kitchen. I'm trying to fix things between us. By perpetuating patriarchal structures, I expected better from you, Grace. She storms out crying. Grace tries different approach next day, offers to give me massage after a long day at work. I appreciate the gesture, but I need to decline. Why? Accepting service from you would reinforce problematic dynamics. What dynamics? The expectation that partners should provide comfort. That's emotional labor. Grace stares at me like I've lost my mind. You're taking this too far. I'm taking it exactly as far as you did. Situation escalates when Grace asks me to carry heavy groceries from car. I can't do that. It would be patronizing to assume you can't handle them yourself. She struggles with 6 bags, drops one, apples roll everywhere. Arthur, please help me. Strong, independent women don't need men to solve their problems. Grace starts crying in the driveway. I just needed help with groceries. And I just needed appreciation for working 70-hour weeks, but apparently that reinforces male privilege. Neighbors start staring as Grace has breakdown in driveway. She's sobbing, mascara running, trying to collect scattered apples. I stand there calmly watching. This is what equality looks like, Grace. That evening, Grace tries to initiate serious conversation. We need to talk about what's happening to our marriage. I'm not available for that discussion right now. What do you mean you're not available? I need to prioritize my own emotional well-being. But this affects both of us. Your relationship concerns aren't my responsibility to manage. Grace becomes increasingly desperate over following days, tries making my favorite meal. I refuse to eat it. I can't participate in traditional gender role expectations. She throws the entire lasagna in the garbage. Grace buys me expensive watch for no reason. I return it. Gift giving creates unbalanced power dynamics. It's just a watch. Today it's a watch. Tomorrow it's expecting me to be grateful for things I never asked for. She tries scheduling couples counseling. That would require me to do emotional labor around our relationship. But it would help us. Your desire for relationship improvement isn't my responsibility. Grace has another complete breakdown. I don't understand what you want from me. I want exactly what you wanted from me. Nothing. That's not true. You wanted me to handle my own emotions, work full-time, do half the housework, show no expectations, and be grateful for the privilege. List everything she demanded over past 2 years. No emotional support, no appreciation, no birthday recognition, no help with anything traditional. Just cold 50-50 splitting of everything while she got to lecture me about privilege. Now you're getting the same treatment and you can't handle it. Grace tries to explain why it's different. I was trying to create equality. This is equality, Grace. Perfect, mathematical, cold equality. But relationships need warmth and support. You told me warmth and support were oppressive labor. She can't argue because I'm literally using her exact words. Every single thing she demanded, I'm now demanding. Every boundary she set, I'm now setting. Every lecture she gave about independence, I'm now giving. Grace realizes she created this monster. Her feminist principles sound insane when applied to her. Suddenly, she wants traditional relationship dynamics, wants emotional support, wants help, wants appreciation, wants special treatment. Tell her she can have all those things. Just needs to admit her previous behavior was unreasonable, needs to acknowledge that relationships require mutual support and appreciation, needs to recognize that rigid equality isn't the same as loving partnership. Grace refuses, too proud to admit she was wrong. Insists her principles were correct, but I'm applying them wrong. You're weaponizing feminism against me. I'm applying your logic consistently. If you don't like how it feels, maybe examine the logic. Marriage is effectively over. We're roommates splitting bills exactly 50-50. No emotional connection, no support, no warmth. Just two people coexisting under Grace's carefully constructed rules. Grace becomes increasingly miserable. Realizes she doesn't want equality. She wanted privilege. Wanted all the benefits of traditional masculinity, protection, provision, emotional support, with none of the traditional femininity, appreciation, nurturing, cooperation. She tries one last time to fix things. Cooks elaborate dinner, lights candles, puts on nice dress. I thought we could have a romantic evening. Romance is a patriarchal construct designed to manipulate women into domestic servitude. Arthur, please stop. I'm just educated about these issues now. I thought you'd be proud. Grace starts crying again. I miss when you used to be nice to me. I miss when you used to be nice to me too. But that's different. How is it different, Grace? Explain it to me. She can't explain it because there is no explanation. She wanted a relationship where she got everything and gave nothing. Where her feelings mattered but mine didn't. Where her work was valued but mine was expected. Where her principles applied to me but not to her. Grace finally breaks down completely. I was wrong. Is that what you want to hear? I want to hear what specifically you were wrong about. I expected too much from you while giving nothing back. And I used feminist language to justify being selfish. We have first honest conversation in 2 years. Grace admits she liked having someone take care of her while lecturing them about equality, admits she enjoyed the moral high ground while being hypocritical, admits she never considered how her demands affected me. Ask her what she wants from relationship going forward. I want partnership, real partnership, not scorekeeping. What does that look like? Mutual support, appreciation, flexibility based on circumstances rather than rigid rules. Tell her I want the same things, but trust is broken. She spent 2 years training me not to expect anything from her. Can't just flip a switch and go back. Grace asks what it would take to rebuild. Consistency. If you want emotional support, you need to give it. If you want help, you need to offer it. If you want appreciation, you need to show it. And if I mess up, then you'll get exactly the same energy you give. We try to rebuild. Grace struggles because she has to actually reciprocate now. Can't just take everything while giving lectures. Has to show up as equal partner rather than entitled critic. Slowly start doing nice things for each other again. But now it's balanced. When Grace cooks, I clean. When I work late, she handles evening tasks without complaint. When she has bad day, I listen. And when I have bad day, she listens too. Spreadsheet gets thrown away. We handle things like adults instead of scorekeeping children. Grace stops posting about toxic masculinity, starts posting about healthy relationships instead. Learn that true equality isn't about mathematical splitting of everything. It's about both people caring more about their partner's well-being than about being right. Grace learned this the hard way when she got exactly what she demanded. Marriage is better now. Not because we follow traditional roles, but because we both contribute based on love rather than ideology. Turns out relationships work better when both people are trying to give more than they take. Grace occasionally slips back into lecture mode. When she does, I just start applying her logic to her again. She quickly remembers why that doesn't work. Never mind, I'll just talk to you like a human being. Good choice. Realize that Grace wasn't actually a feminist. She was someone who used feminist language to avoid responsibility. Real feminism would include caring about her partner's well-being. Real equality would include emotional reciprocity. Grace admits this during one of our honest conversations. I thought feminism meant I could demand everything while giving nothing. What do you think it means now? I think it means both people get to be fully human, with needs and the ability to meet someone else's needs. Our relationship works now because we both show up. We both appreciate each other. We both handle stress and support each other through difficult times. We both take responsibility for creating a loving home. Grace learned that you can't build a relationship on entitlement and lectures. Learned that demanding equality while refusing reciprocity isn't feminism, it's selfishness. Learned that love requires giving, not just taking. I learned that boundaries work. Learned that accepting poor treatment teaches people to treat you poorly. Learned that sometimes you have to show someone how their behavior feels before they'll change it. We tell this story to other couples sometimes. Grace is embarrassed but honest about her previous behavior. I was using good principles to justify bad behavior. I thought I was enlightened, but I was just entitled. I almost destroyed my marriage by demanding everything while giving nothing. Other wives recognize themselves in Grace's story. Other husbands recognize themselves in mine. Turns out this dynamic is common. One partner uses social justice language to avoid accountability. Grace now advocates for actual equality, the kind where both people matter, where both people's work is valued, where both people show up emotionally, where both people take responsibility for the relationship. Marriage isn't perfect, but it's real now, based on mutual care instead of ideological scorekeeping. Grace got what she actually wanted, partnership, by giving up what she thought she wanted, to be right all the time. Sometimes laugh about the spreadsheet. Grace keeps it as a reminder of how not to build a relationship. I was treating you like an employee instead of a partner, and not even a good employee, one I constantly criticized. Realize that the best revenge against poor treatment isn't retaliation. It's showing someone exactly what they're doing by doing it back to them. Grace couldn't argue with my behavior because it was identical to hers. couldn't call it unfair because she had demanded the exact same treatment. Relationship now based on golden rule instead of feminist theory. Treat each other the way we want to be treated. Show up the way we want our partner to show up. Appreciate what we want to be appreciated for. Grace sometimes thanks me for not giving up on marriage. You could have just left when I was being impossible. I could have, but then you never would have learned. Learned what? That relationships are about loving each other, not keeping score. Happily married now, not because we follow traditional roles or reject them, but because we both prioritize each other's happiness. Turns out that's what makes relationships work, caring more about your partner than about being right.